Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I apologize for the background noise. It is storming pretty bad outside and I have my fans on because it's pretty humid because it is storming pretty bad outside. If you are new to my channel, I am a pre-veterinary student at the University of Findlay. So today I want to give tricks for people going into pre-veterinary animal science majors. That is my focus, but a lot of this stuff can help with anything in the medical field. So I hope these tricks can help you even if you're not a pre-veterinary major. But some stuff like the animal tips and tricks is going to be related to animal science or pre-veterinary majors. Tips I'm going to start off with are tips when you are still in high school. They benefit pretty much anyone, especially people going into the medical field. Like a good tip is try to have a good GPA. I don't care if you're going in for medical fields, pre-veterinary, what. If you're trying to go to college, you should try to have a good GPA and try to work hard in your classes. I understand not all of us are the best at academics, but if you're trying to go for college, you should at least, in my opinion, try to have a 3.0. I always strived for 3.5, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of an overachiever. I think a 3.2 is pretty good if you're going in for medical, but you know, anyone going in for college, I think you should try to have a 3.0. Some of those higher schools, like state universities, such as, I'm in Ohio, I wouldn't say Ohio State. I think they're pretty good about accepting people, but Texas A&M is like a really top school, especially for pre-veterinary. And yeah, I would try to strive for a 3.5 or higher because I had like a 3.6 and I got waitlisted. So if you're going for a higher top school, no matter what it's for, you should try to have a higher GPA. But I think in general, having a 3.0 is a really good start and a really good way to try to get into college. I think another good tip for literally anyone trying to go to college is to try to do any CCP classes that you can, or I'm not sure if like APA transfers because I never took APA, so I'm sorry for my lack of knowledge. But if you know a class can transfer into college, then I think it's really beneficial to take. I did 2 English CCPs while I was in high school, and that really lifted me up a lot. If you do really good on those CCP classes, depending on the college and what course it is, sometimes they'll count for 2 or more courses. So doing a CCP class or any class that can transfer over to college is really beneficial in my opinion. It really helps you knock out some debt or money if you know that's a problem for you, or it can really just help you get on track to get done sooner. Like there's a lot of benefits to it. So if you can do any courses and knock those out of the way, I think that's really good. Or if you're like doing some courses over the summer before you start college, like whatever it may be, if it can transfer to your college, because make sure it can transfer. Some colleges won't take some courses from some other community colleges, for example. But if it can transfer over to college, that is really good in my opinion, and I think it's worth to take it, especially for pre-veterinary majors or medical majors, because I have a very heavy course load in biology and like chemistry, so that allows me to have more time to have focus on those areas or areas where I am not as strong at, instead of worrying about some of the simpler classes that I already knocked out of the way. Another tip that I have for pre-veterinary majors or medical majors is if you have the opportunity to take biology or chemistry or anatomy during high school, then I think it is very beneficial. For me, I was required to take biology, but my junior and senior year, I went to a career center, so I was not required to take another science, so I didn't take chemistry, and now I'm really struggling in chemistry. Biology I took, and I did really good, and I'm doing really good in biology right now, but if you're not good at biology, you know, take it if you don't have to take it as a requirement, but I did have to take biology as a requirement. And I know some high schools require you to take chemistry as well, but in my case I wasn't, and I really regret not taking it. Another thing is anatomy, and I did take anatomy even though I wasn't required to my senior year, and it's just really good because I got more familiar with terms in anatomy. And being in pre-veterinary, my freshman first semester I had equine, and we had some anatomy terms, and even though not everything is the same as humans, some stuff does transfer over, and it really was beneficial, and it really just helped me grasp terms and start to understand them in high school to help me better understand them in college. So if you're going for like a healthcare or pre-veterinary animal science, I just think it's really beneficial to take anatomy. And if you're going into anything science related at all, take chemistry and biology, because those classes are probably going to be heavily into your curriculum for your major or your program. The next thing I want to talk about are some tips that I think are really good to have before going to college, and this can literally apply to anyone, no matter what major. One of the things is developing studying techniques, because at least in my case, I have different studying techniques that I use for different classes and different subjects. Like, I've learned I'm a very hands-on learner, so sometimes I will draw out molecules and things like that for chemistry, or I'll try to look up scenarios where I can relate something to the real world or relate something to my career, because as a pre-veterinary student, obviously it's real world, it's medicine. So I'll do anything I can to try to figure out other classes and how they relate to my major or to the real world, so I can better understand and grasp them. And that's just what works for me. But for other people, you might have different ways. Like, you might need flashcards, you might need somebody to teach it to you, or you might need to teach it to somebody else to make sure that you learn and grasp something. So I think it's really important to know different studying techniques and what works for you. Another skill that's really important is communication. Like, for example, for me, my freshman year, I was very shy. I had a lot of social anxiety, and I really worked on that, so I was really good about that. But you really do have to have good communication skills in college, especially like if you know you're going to miss days for appointments or something like that. You have to communicate with your professors pretty well. Some professors won't show you your exams, so you have to communicate with them, to meet up with them, to see your exams, to see what questions you did wrong, or communicating with them to have a study session, anything like that. Like, you really do have to have good communication skills. In college, it's a lot different than high school. In high school, your teacher will reach out to you when you do wrong on something. In college, some of them really don't care. They could care less. They're not going to reach out to you. You know, it's your career you're working for, so if you don't care about it, why should they? You know, that's their philosophy. So you really do have to have good communication skills so that you can communicate with professors, communicate with people around you. Another skill that's really important is time management, especially with pre-veterinary majors, because you have so many classes going on, so many different subjects, and that'll probably be the case for any major. You have to have good time management and make sure you are balancing everything pretty well. Like, I work as well, and I'm a college student, and you have your social life as well, unless you're not a social butterfly, which I'm not a big social butterfly, but I still have friends and I still hang out with them. I did make friends in college, so you really do have to have good time management skills. And even if you're not doing like work or going out with friends, whatever, you need to have good time management skills to balance all of your classes. These things will be due different days, and unlike high school, a lot of times you won't get reminders unless like your app, like we use Canvas at my college, unless your app tells you and you have that set up for that. Or even sometimes, even if it is set up for that, you won't get a reminder. Like, sometimes there's flukes. So it's always good to have good time management skills, have like a planner. Like, it's just really good to have time management skills. My very last tip, it can apply to other majors, like the main concept of it, but I'm going to go more in depth for pre-veterinary animal science majors. So anything that you are going to go for in college, I think it's really important that you make sure that that's for sure what you want to do. So any opportunity you can get to get your hands on it, if that makes sense, or get into it and really get a feel for it, I think you should do that. There's a lot of times people go to college for something and then they realize, hey, that's not my cup of tea, and then they're already spent money on that and then have to go and do additional schooling for what they actually feel is their passion and what they want to do. Pre-veterinary or animal science majors, I think it's obviously really important to get experience with animals. Anything you can do to get hands-on animal experience will be amazing. I went to a career center technical school for animal care and management, and that really gave me a grasp of hands-on things, and that was really important. So if you have a technical school you can go to, that is like the perfect opportunity right there. Because at least for my technical school, you had like a week where if you felt like that was not where you wanted to go in life, you could switch to something else. And I also grew up having animals, so I knew I loved animals, but being able to have hands-on like that, helped me more to understand that that was my passion. But there's so many areas in animal care that I didn't know if that was for sure what I wanted to do with pre-veterinary and medicine. So I started to work at a veterinary office, and I started as a kennel tech, and then I shadowed an internship there and got to watch surgeries and stuff, and that's how I knew for sure that that was my passion and what I enjoyed. So try to get a job working with animals. If you can't get a job, try to volunteer, try to get an internship, externship, anything you can do to get out there and work with animals, especially in the area that you want to focus on, like pre-veterinary, look at medicine, like try to watch a surgery. Sometimes it's not going to be easy to jump right into what you wanted to do. Like when I started off at the vet clinic, I wanted to watch surgeries to make sure that's where I wanted to go for, and that was my junior year I started. I was supposed to start my internship that summer, but I kind of knew, so they waited till halfway in the summer. So sometimes you have to work a little hard first and get there, because I was just cleaning kennels and taking care of the animals, which I did with my pets at home, so that was not a new experience for me, but at least I was making money and showing the vet clinic that I am a hard worker and I am really serious about this, and I do want to view a surgery to see if that's what I want to do, and building trust. Another thing is, I know some people do FFA or 4-H. That is also a good way to like get some experience. And all these experiences for pre-veterinary, if you're like going for vet school after pre-veterinary, they look really good for your veterinary applications as well. I would say to get experience for pre-veterinary majors is there's so many veterinary shows out there that you can watch as well on surgery, and see if like you can watch it and handle it, if that makes sense. Because like medicine, sometimes you can't handle looking at certain things like blood, for example, bones. It's really good to make sure you can handle that first. I just think it's better to understand what you want to do before you get into college, and know that that's what you want to do, so that you're not wasting money. But I know it happens all the time, but there's definitely a lot of veterinary shows you can watch. I wrote down a couple that I like. Like I like watching Dr. Pole. I like watching Dr. K's Exotic ER, Dr. Jeff, the Rocky Mountain Vet. Like there's so many shows or like YouTube videos you can watch. Is all the tips and tricks I have. They were specifically for pre-veterinary, animal science, or like medical majors, but I hope some of the tips and tricks might have helped those of you who aren't going into those majors as well. And if you have any questions that you think I can answer, my socials are in my bio, so you can always reach out to me. You can always comment under this video. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please give it a big thumbs up and go hit the subscribe button.